you are a multi-hyphenate across the board, and you and your wife have a podcast. You also have co-authored a book together, which I would like to get into. And I believe in February of 2023, it was a New York Times bestseller. It made the New York Times best-selling list. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes,
And
ma'am. Yes, it did.
congratulations, first of all. I can count on like all of my limbs, hands, fingers, toes, arms, legs. All my friends have written books, and very few have the opportunity to make it to the New York Times bestseller list. Can you tell everyone listening the name of the book, please?
Thank you so much, first of all, for your kind words, Cari. The name of the book is called We Over Me, the counterintuitive approach to getting everything you want out of your relationship.
What made you and your wife write that book? Was it because of the success of the podcast?
In part it was. In part it was a little bit of my foresight. I've always created plans for myself, plans for my wife, and what we wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and all of this was part of the plan. On our first date, which is it's part of the book, which is why I'm going to tell this story. On our first date, she came to my dorm room and we sat down. We were on my bed, and she looked at me. She said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And Martin was on television. And I said, "That. I want to do that right there." And she was just like, "You want to be an actor?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she didn't laugh. She didn't like make no funny face like, "Oh, you ain't going to do this." She looked at me and she said, "Well, how are we going to get there?"
Mm.
And it was the how we are going to get there was always like resonated with me. I was like, she just included herself in my dream, which first of all means that she can see what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like it resonated with me, like, wow, this person is not clowning me. I just met her and she says she can see what I see. So then I asked her what she wanted to do, and she told me what she wanted to do. She said she wanted to be an entertainment reporter, and I said, so how are we gonna get there? And I told her the plan. I said, I'm going to go to the NFL. If I can make a practice squad, I'll get $100,000. This was back in 2002. It's way more money now, but I'll get $100,000 in 4 months. I can buy a brownstone in Brooklyn. We can live downstairs and rent out the upstairs 2 floors. This way we don't have to be starving artists, and we can focus on our dreams. And she said, cool, let's do it.
I love
And
that.
we worked on that for like years, all of college, and we got it. I made it to the NFL. I played a lot longer than just the practice squad. I ended up playing 3 years, and then I ended up buying property back in Brooklyn and doing all of those things. So when it came to the book, I foresaw the same things I saw with us. I saw it in another realm of television, and I said, ultimately, I want to get a first look deal for TV and film so that I can create the type of content I want to see. Because part of the reason why I even got into social media was because I was always auditioning and I was always getting picked as the drug dealer, the ex-con, the ex-boyfriend who was a
Mm-hmm.
thug. It was just like I was always getting
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
same roles.
Mm-hmm.
So I really started creating my content for social media to show producers that Devale Ellis can do something else other than be the thug, because I have a beard and tattoos and muscles. And I also wanted to, showcase who I was as a person. Like, people think that I'm just a personality, for example, that wants to act. No, I'm a
Mm.
classically trained actor. I went to school for performance and theater. I did a 2-year conservatory at Esper Studios. Like, I've trained to be an actor. So when people even for example, when people see me, the first thing they say is, I don't know what you are. Are you a YouTuber? You an author? You a podcaster? And I say, I'm an actor, but I happen to put my talents in other things from time to time. So then now people understand it. But when it came to the book, I told Kay, I said, look, if we can write a book and become New York Times bestsellers, that's the best opportunity you'll have of getting a first look picture deal. I said, if you just look at the track record of everybody else who's written books and become authors and become New York Times bestsellers, this is the path they're going on. And just like in college, she said, all right, well, how are we going to do it? And, and we did it.
What do you think that book offers people? I know that everyone likes to write a memoir. That's their first book, and those are really hard to write about unless you're super duper famous, like perhaps Viola Davis, or
Right,
But when you have I think self help books, books on relationships, are always really needed, are much needed. And Black love is not as celebrated. So, what do you think you've
right.
offered everyone in that book? You and your wife have offered everyone in that book.
This is a simple one for me. We just offered our love story and our testimony. Like, I tell people every time they ask, like, what is this book about? The first thing I tell them is it's not a how-to book.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm trying to tell you to tailor make your love to our loves, then you're gonna fail every time because we can only be us. So it's not a how-to book. It's just a different approach at love. You get to learn through stories that we're willing to share. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really what it is. It's our love story from its conception to where it is now. And it's also a look at generational love because we speak about how the things we watched in our parents became who we were as people. And when we were trying to become the best versions of ourselves as a couple, we had to kind of lose some of the stuff that we thought we saw that was positive and healthy in our families.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we have 4 sons, we're trying to pass down a better version of that love to them. So it's just to look at our Brooklyn love story. You'll laugh, you'll cry. You won't feel judged because we're not here telling you this is how you need to do it because this is the only way it works. We're actually saying the opposite. We're actually saying at the end of this book, if you're trying to make your marriage like ours, then you got nothing out of this book.
The book is just telling your love story and letting it know that it exists. Is that
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying? Love
Yep.
exists and it can be done. And not say do what we did, but it exists and it's here. And that's beautiful and special in its
Abs-
simplicity.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. If I had to sum it up, well, this is why you're amazing at what you do because you literally summed it up in 2 sentences. But yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
I love that. I love that. And I love that story. And it's encouraging. Perhaps another reason why it was a New York Times bestseller. I was scanning through, and I haven't read the book, but I am now. I was scanning through some of your social media, and you tell this story, which I love because the way in which your wife wanted to be an entertainment reporter. I remember when I was first starting out in the business, how tough it was. But you tell this really great story.
Hmm.
And I think you might have been doing it live in Detroit, your podcast, Dead Ass. I think you guys might have been doing it in Detroit.
Yes.
I'm not for sure. Yeah, okay, it was. And can you tell the story about how you were playing for the Lions and she was auditioning to be a
Be a
media,
traffic
not a
reporter.
yeah, a traffic reporter. I was gonna say weather girl. I didn't want to make it that simple. Okay, a
Right.
traffic reporter. Yeah, tell me.
So the funny part is, um, people see my wife now and they just think that she's I don't know what they call it, an influencer, right? Like that's what
Oh,
they think.
oh,
Oh, okay,
okay.
it's just an influencer, but also she's not. She's actually got a master's degree in speech communications and performance with a minor in broadcast journalism. So she always had this dream of being in some sort of journalism. But she
Mm-hmm.
was trying to figure out how to get into it. And she had just graduated from Hofstra, and I was at Detroit at the time. So she was like, yo, if I move to the Midwest with you, I'll have a greater opportunity to get into those smaller markets. Because here in New York, like these are the big markets in New York. You got to go inward in the country, work in those small markets, and get some experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, cool, let's go. Come out here. Plus, of course, I would love to have my beautiful girlfriend come live with me while I'm playing for the Lions. So it just was perfect for the two of us. And she got wind that WDIV was doing a traffic reporter search. So they had about 500 people come out here, and every week they were going to announce the next set of finalists and finalists. So she goes in there, and I'm trying to be as supportive as I can while it's football season, and I'm just like, bro, you got this big opportunity. Let's go to the mall. I'll let you buy whatever you want to buy in the mall. So she's like, you really, Devale? Like, we just two broke kids coming from college, just enjoying this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. And she goes to the mall. She gets out her nice pencil skirt and her shirt and her blazer, and she ready to go. So I'm like, boom, that's my baby. She goes into the audition. She goes into the audition, comes out, and I'm like, how did it go? She was just like, I made it to the next round. So I'm like, all right, well, you know what that means? We got to go back and get you another outfit. So now we about 5 weeks in, and she done been back to the mall so many times. And I'm like, man, they need to pick somebody. Like they eliminating people one by one. That's a lot of weeks. That's a lot of trips to the mall. Like this is starting to be a lot now. So, and we lived right across the street from the mall at the time. That was Fairlane Mall we were at, and we used to just really walk right across the street. So I'm like, babe, I think you have enough outfits. I don't think we should do that mall anymore. She said, you know what? You're right, babe. I don't think we should do that mall anymore neither. I was like, oh, cool. We long as we on the same page. And she was like, yeah, I want to go to Somerset Mall. I'm like, Somerset Mall is 45 minutes away. And it's about 15 feet of snow outside. She's just like, and? I'm
Yeah,
like, what
because
you mean, and?
how we about to pursue
15
this
feet? Yo,
dream?
the snow was
We
here.
snow at your nose, and you're like, is that a problem? She's like, is that a problem? No, not a problem.
Cari, she didn't even blink. She didn't say anything. She was just looking at me like, so I was like, you know what? It's time for me to be the man of the house, all of my 23-year-old self.
Uh-huh.
And I said,
Uh-huh.
I'm putting my foot down.
Yes.
We are not going to the mall.
Uh-huh.
Period. She
Period.
says, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I can't believe you're ruining my opportunity. If I was at home, my mother would have took me to the mall. And I was like, fine, fine. So then go live with your mother then. And then she was just like, really? Okay. Then she walked away. Didn't say nothing to me. I didn't say nothing to her. She ain't say nothing to me. We slept on opposite sides of the bed, right? Next day, she goes in for the traffic reporter search. Guess what happens?
What happened?
She lost. Yeah, man.
No.
She
Is
lost.
wait a second, it's because you didn't get her the outfit.
That's what she said. She gonna say to me, you know, this is your fault because you didn't get me the new outfit.
Did you feel bad when it was all said? And did you feel bad? Did you think the outfit played a part?
No, I didn't think the outfit played a part, but I did actually feel bad. But I did feel bad. But you know what made me feel worse was because I was we also had another routine that we was doing. Every time she won, I was getting some. So this night she didn't
Oh.
win, so I knew I wasn't getting none. But not only did I not get none, she dressed full clothes that she wore the whole day. She kept on the pencil skirt with the blouse and the jacket and slept in that. I was tight. I was like, you petty. You mad petty, Kate. You mad petty.
I love that story. And I love that she was letting you know it was all your fault. Now, let me ask you this. This is really interesting because I mean, the world that we do begin to work in, this world of trying to be in front of the camera is crazy. And you said three
Mm-hmm.
times in this conversation that is your wife's dream. Is that still her dream?
Yes, it actually is still her dream, but it's her dream has changed a lot because she's a mom, of course, and she loves being a mom. And although I've told her 1,000 times, like, yo, if this is something you want to pursue, like, there are ways. Like, we have resources now. We can make sure, both your parents live with us. I'll make sure the kids are good. And she's like, no, some days she wakes up and she wants to be in front of the camera. She wants to get glammed up and she wants to be a journalist. But then some days she wants to get up and just be a mom.
Yeah.
And what she likes, what we do now in having our own podcast and doing our own live shows, is that we get to work around the schedule that we want. And I think that she loves that. She's a little bit afraid of committing to something. She had a couple opportunities in journalism, but she turned them down. And she was just like, I can't commit to that time of span. Like, I can't. The kids love her. When I'm not there for a matter of weeks, I can only imagine if she's not there. I think the house would fall apart, to be honest. So I think that she's in a good place now where she's trying to figure out how she can make the balance work. And if it changes in another couple of years, it changes again, And then at that point, hopefully we have some time to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. I love that.